So the Tamarack Foundation works to build the creative economy of West Virginia. We help artist entrepreneurs in order to do this. Our services are available to artists all across the state of West Virginia, whether or not they are juried into the Tamarack retail facility in Beckley. The presentation that we have here today is part of our Creative Entrepreneur Speaker Series. This is plotting your low-cost plan for digital marketing. Through the end of 2016, we're going to be having 9 experts total join us. These experts are from across the nation, and the speakers will address topics like planning for digital marketing, social media how-to, pricing your work, and preparing for fairs and festivals. All of these events are available for free because we have a generous grant from the Benedum Foundation. We are very thankful for Benedum. And you can check out the schedule for the speaker series by visiting our website. It's www.tamarackfoundation.org, and we have a link on the homepage directly to the speaker series information. If you have any questions or comments during the presentation, you can submit them by using the box labeled chat at the bottom of the screen. So you can type in your question or comment where it says write a message and then click the send button. Please know that when you are typing questions into that chat box, that they will be visible to everyone who is attending this presentation. So at the end of the presentation, we'll leave some time for Q&A. At that time, I'll review the questions in the chat box and talk with Carling and Jen and ask them those questions. So you can submit your thoughts and questions along the way, and then we can get to them at the end, or Carling and Jen may choose to pick them up in the middle if they are, if they need to address them at that particular time. If you have any technical issues today, we sent you an email yesterday outlining some basic troubleshooting tips. And if your presentation window freezes at any point, you can just close that window, go back to the confirmation email that took you here today, and click Join Now again, and that will reestablish your connection. If you're not able to get in, or if at any point you can't see the presentation any longer, all of you will be getting a follow-up email that will have a recording of the presentation in it, so you can watch it after the fact. Also, if you have trouble with audio at any time, in that same confirmation email that you got that took you to the presentation room today, there's a phone number that you can call in and hear just the audio. Let's welcome Jen and Carling. I'm going to talk a little bit about them and 84 Agency. 84 Agency is a media and communications firm based in Charleston that specializes in providing creative solutions for nonprofits. They spend most of their working time creating viral content, developing campaigns, and managing social media presences, producing video and design materials, and offering communications support for nonprofits both regionally and nationally. Jen and Carling both have MFA degrees from the San Francisco Art Institute, and they reside here in Charleston, West Virginia. Welcome to Jen and Carling, and if you guys want to go ahead and get started.
Thanks, Emma. That was a wonderful introduction, and we're so lucky to have you. She's walked us through this whole interface, so thank you so much. We're really excited to be here with you guys today, and the list of attendees is growing as this is getting rolling. So we've got a big presentation for you, and we're really excited to share our insights as media professionals. But we're going to start at basically a 101 level. So let's just jump right in. So this is Plot Plan for Digital Marketing. Next slide. So this presentation, the overview is basically we're going to be preparing you to have a basic understanding of a variety of digital marketing tools that are available to you as artists, as creative entrepreneurs. You'll be able to you'll have a knowledge of best practices for common social media platforms. You'll also know which tools best serve your goals as an artist, because many different artists work differently, and so then the tools that they'll need to promote their art are going to be different. You'll also be able to develop a digital marketing calendar and be able to develop a workflow that directs attention to your artwork. So we figured that we should start with a crash course. We've got a whole range, a range of ages in this presentation. The folks that are attending, we've got a range of levels of expertise as far as who's got a Facebook page that's a personal page, a professional page, maybe who's on Twitter and knows what that is. So we wanted to cover a non-exhaustive list of the available tools. Here's this non-exhaustive list. So we've got, you can enter.
Our non-exhaustive list starts with Facebook. That's going to be this icon right here. I think you can see what I'm doing. And then we've got Instagram, Twitter, and Tumblr. These are social media platforms where you can meet people where they are. With your website, you're asking people to come back to your space, but you can find people in a feed, or people can find you in their feed, and it's a way to reach out into new audiences. The next slide, we're going to move to website builders. So different tools you can use to create your space. We've got WordPress, which some of you may be familiar with. In fact, I think Megan from Mesh, she did a previous webinar, and in that presentation, she really walks you through a lot of really great ways to work within the WordPress platform. And then we also have Squarespace, which is WordPress is a free platform. Squarespace is a paid platform, but it is also a bit more user-friendly. And we also wanted to cover a little bit about emails and newsletters. It's something that can be a really helpful tool for artists, keeping people up to date on your news and shows and exhibitions. And also online sales. This is also a very key element to having a creative business online. So we wanted to touch on a few platforms that exist. So we've got an Etsy platform, which is also sort of a social media platform. You can meet people where they are, and then Shopify is a website e-commerce platform that exists then on your website, or you have a website through their platform.
Yeah. So, and we know there are many other tools out there and many other social media platforms like Snapchat and Vine and other things like that. But what we wanted to make sure is to get everyone started with the most popular ones. So you're going to be finding millions of users, millions of followers on these platforms, whereas the other ones, the amount of people that are using them varies.
Yeah, and artists, our time is limited, and so you really have to be strategic when it comes to spending time developing meaningful content on platforms. And when you do that, it's our opinion that you should go to where you're going to reach the most people. Mm-hmm.
So starting with website builders, WordPress is a free website building software, and it basically helps you manage content. So you're able to create blog posts. That's a pretty common way to interact with it. You can also basically tailor it and install plugins and use themes that you like, and also install widgets. Now, all of those things are a little bit more complicated than what we're going to cover today, but we definitely want you to check out the Tamarack webinar that Mesh presented for more information on that. And Squarespace, as Jen said, is a paid service, and so they basically walk you through how to use their system, and you're able to make updates to your website, posts, you can integrate Facebook, Twitter, all of those things into your website pretty easily, but they do get you to pay for it. So that's something to think about as far as expenses as an artist go. Online sales, Etsy is a peer-to-peer e-commerce website, and so you basically manage your page within their environment. And they focus on handmade or vintage items. So it is basically like you join a community of handmade makers, artists, and creative entrepreneurs that are trying to get their enterprises up on the web. Etsy also charges a very nominal fee. I think it's like 20 cents or something per active product. So that's out there as a tool. Or you can take it all in-house onto your website and use Shopify to sell your products directly. So it's a complete solution, and you basically become your own shop online. As an artist, you can sell anything. So as far as the examples we're going to be covering today, Kinship Goods is one of the case studies that we're going to cover, and they use Shopify almost exclusively as a web tool. Email newsletters, there's a bunch of different platforms and softwares out there. What we like is MailChimp, primarily because it's free up until, I think it's 2,000 email addresses. So if your list goes past 2,000, they will make you pay.
That's a good place to be.
It is a good place to be. If you're paying for your service, it means that you're talking to enough people. I also think you get a limited amount of emails per month to that 2,000 person list. So definitely check in on their pro options, but it's a great way to get started. The thing that a lot of people come to us and say is like, oh, I'm using Gmail to communicate to the people that like my work, or I'm using my Outlook account. You can technically do that, but what you're missing out is a whole range of basically analytical tools that you can see when other people actually are reading your email. You can follow up with statistics and find out which emails are being opened, which subject lines make more sense to people. And then you can also really track each email as far as when they go out. So I know, being a Gmail user myself, that setting up a calendar and following through with a calendar is a lot harder when it's in my personal email. So when you're managing it through a separate software like MailChimp, you'll be able to see and meet those calendar goals that you set out for yourself, and make sure that you're on target with your communications.
And Gmail is set up in a way where they want you to send an email to 1 to 10 people through Gmail. Anything over that, you're going to start to raise red flags, and your messages are going to be tagged as spam. So MailChimp has an algorithm that overrides that and is optimized for sending to large groups of people.
Yeah. All right, so getting into the social media platform. So many people are aware of Facebook. Facebook is the most popular social media platform in West Virginia. It's a free social media network website, and you basically create profiles. You can upload photos, videos, you can send messages either publicly and privately, and you can keep in touch with your friends and your network. Instagram, also popular. It's gaining on Facebook. I mean, Facebook bought it a couple of years ago, and it is a platform that's really taking over. It's also free, and it is pretty photo and video based. Twitter is also a popular network. It's not as common in West Virginia. I think that people don't really understand how to use it, and so folks in West Virginia are relying on Facebook and Instagram, and Twitter is kind of left to like the insiders or tech-savvy people. It basically limits your posting to 140 characters, so it's short and sweet. And Tumblr, we wanted to include, even though it is a less common social media platform, but we wanted to include it in this presentation, mainly because it is a like microblogging software that is totally free, and really the sky's the limit with Tumblr. Because they do not censor any of the content that their registered users are putting up on their platform, depending on the type of artwork you have, you won't run into any of that censorship problem, and so we wanted to add that as well. So as far as average audiences, with Facebook, you're going to be targeting everyone. They're all ages, mainly 25 and over. Younger people have been leaving Facebook over the past couple of years for alternative platforms, but the content is mainly broad. It includes entertainment, politics, personal news, professional highlights, etc. And it's optimized for all media. So photos, videos, everything that you can upload in there. You can even provide like PDF links. So if you've got some content, Facebook is a good place to start. With Instagram, it's mainly everyone. But we would say about 40 and younger is the average, especially in this state. And that means that the content that's being uploaded to Instagram is primarily creative, it's lifestyle-based, it's personal, some professional, and by professional I mean somebody who is taking pictures of their work life or talking about work successes. It's not really a news source, so they actually prohibit links in the posts, and so it's really more about being photocentric. And Twitter, we think that is basically everybody that understands Twitter is on Twitter. So it's a self-selective network. It's all ages, but it's primarily people that are interested in news and media and then what's happening right now. So if there is something that explodes in conversations that are happening across all sorts of communities like the Olympics, Twitter is a good place to hit as a platform and look for what you're interested in. And you'll find that everybody is talking about it, and it organizes itself in a way that is a little bit easier to digest than a lot of these other social media platforms. And then, as I said, Tumblr is uncensored and unmitigated, and so the content that people are uploading, it tends to be geared towards younger folks. The platform definitely is flocked to by younger folks. And then all media is accepted on Tumblr. So we've got people that have strictly word-based Tumblr accounts, strictly photo and video, anything really goes. So as far as best practices go within these social media platforms, we wanted to point out, because there's some confusion, that when you have your own personal page as an artist, it is not. So there are two types of pages that you can have on Facebook. You've got your personal profile, and that's something where you're connected with your friends and your family. And then there is an option to develop a professional page as an artist or as a creative entrepreneur. And that page is less about focusing on you personally and more about your enterprise. You're limiting the content to what is related to your art and your art practice. And so it's good for linking your website up to your Facebook page, building your network through your Facebook page. You'll be able to promote events separately, and through that page invite your friends and share it to your own personal page, but you want to make sure that the professional environment is set up for your art practice. And with Instagram, they've actually just recently launched this feature. So as a media company, we're evaluating how that works right now. But we're pretty excited. We've been waiting for them to do something like that. And it basically will give us more tools on the back end to understand who's engaging with the page. So you can maintain now separate accounts for your art practice and your personal life. And then Instagram is specifically good for building a network and documenting your art and your art practice as you make it. Twitter, for artists, you can maintain a personal or a professional profile a lot because Twitter is more about what's happening right now or breaking news or an upcoming event. A lot of artists actually just have one personal/professional Twitter account. And it's good for making sure that your website is linked to somewhere on your profile page. You can promote an event that's coming up, like an opening or a show, by tagging media outlets that you want maybe to be there. Using Twitter as a type of direct messaging with media outlets can be very, very successful. So for example, if I have a show coming up on Friday and I want to make sure that WSAZ is there, like the local broadcast TV station, I can actually find them on Twitter and send them a message in public so everyone knows that they've been tagged and I'm communicating directly with them. So all of our communities know that I'm talking about a show that's coming up that I want them to be at. You'll get a lot of attention that way. And with Tumblr, artists can maintain accounts for personal use for their art practice or to document a specific project or a body of work. many artists who might be experimenting with a new form of art or a concept type-based art can take to Tumblr and basically grow out that idea on the platform, and so it has kind of a separate life than your website or your Facebook page. And Tumblr is a great space for working that kind of stuff out. So documenting your artwork, your art making process as a diary, those are good reasons to use Tumblr. And then another would be to develop a separate body of work. Do you have anything to say?
Yeah, no, I think we'll keep going. So yeah, those are a lot of different networks and tools that artists can use. But one thing that we want to stress is that there's sort of one type of content that all these tools have in common in order for artists to be really successful, and that's photography. It's really important as an artist, as a creative business, that you can show the work that you're doing. So finding ways to successfully document and present your work is really key to success on almost all, if not all, of these platforms.
Yeah, so pictures. Yeah. Take lots of pictures. Words too, video too, but mostly photos. That's the most successful media collateral that you can have in your digital marketing plan. Okay, so we know that was a lot. That was like a little heavy. We gave you a laundry list of examples of tools that you can use. But how do you know which tools are going to work best for you to promote your art practice? And so we wanted to basically equip you with knowing how to select them. So we believe that you should evaluate your art practice and yourself based on your strengths and your weaknesses when you're coming up with a digital marketing plan. It can be really overwhelming to look at all those tools and say, oh my gosh, I might have to spend all of my time promoting myself and none of my time making my work. So if you're going to evaluate yourself as a maker and a promoter, it's good to know how to respond to your weaknesses by catering to your strengths. So do you struggle with writing? If writing is a difficult task, or you don't know what to say, or it's something that just doesn't come easy to you, focus on publishing photos and short messages. So it's an easy way to avoid that like blank page syndrome. You don't have to write a press release, just a one line. And a lot of the time on platforms like Instagram, people can just post photos without even uploading any work at all. So that's another strategy. Do you have limited photography of your artwork? A lot of artists can encounter that. Maybe they don't have a professional camera. They don't have a friend who's a professional photographer. So we would say that's okay. It's totally okay.
You can share sketches. You can talk about inspiration. And you can also write about your process. And at the same time, as artists, we're always learning. So we really recommend going to, doing a good old-fashioned Google search, finding techniques to help you shoot your work in ways that really show that just how compelling it can be. So it doesn't have to be professional, it just has to be compelling.
Yeah. So maybe you're not digitally savvy or comfortable with technology. Focus on one social media platform. We recommend starting with Instagram. There are a lot out there on Instagram, and so you'll be able to find examples of stuff that you like and pretty easily right off the bat, day one. And then start building your own platform and making sure that people can see your work. Do you have limited time for your art practice? So social media management is like gardening. This is an analogy we use all our work. It needs to be tended to in order to grow, and that's a daily tended type of situation. You want to focus about 10% of your studio time on self-promotion. So if you've got 10 hours a week to make your work, dedicate 60 minutes. And that doesn't have to be all in one day if it feels overwhelming. You can break that up over the course of a couple days or spend maybe 2 days a week working on social media or developing your digital marketing plan. But it is something that you definitely want to be committing to.
And it's just like anything. As soon as you get into the habit of making it part of your daily routine, it might even be fun over time.
Yeah. So also, do you have posting anxiety or don't know what to say or how to say it? So a lot of the time as we run into issues coming up with language or trying to identify the right tone for a certain piece or a certain issue we want to talk about, we look to the internet and we find inspiration from other artists in our networks and whose careers we respect or business practices that we admire, and basically steal from them. Don't steal their work, but their marketing strategies. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. Like, find somebody that is doing really well, that's got a growing following, and usually if you really like it, other people are going to really like it too. So if you find a post where you're like, oh my gosh, I love looking into this artist behind the scenes photos, think about making a couple of your own. Okay, so developing your audience. We've got a couple rules that we wanted to share with you. This is basically what we found in our work is what fans and followers want out of the social media platforms and people that they're following. So new content. This is like the gardening thing. People consume digital media all day long, every day. It's from literally the morning to night. The best time of day, we say, to publish content is when it's ready or immediately, right away. Trends do show that people are online and on their social media platforms at around 9 p.m., and that's across all ages, all genders, like all demographics. So 9 p.m. is a great time to post. It feels really late for some people. So you're also able to schedule posts, and I know a couple of the other presentations will go into specifics about social media. So we're not going to cover that type of technical, like, uploading advice, but when we say, like, publish every day, try to publish every day. It's really helpful. Authenticity. Share your art and be yourself. So people can really, or followers can really tell when someone is being honest online. If the words that you're writing under your posts are coming from your heart, people can feel that, and they gravitate towards that, and they'll like and share that material. So be authentic, be yourself, and make sure that whatever you're working on is being reflected in how you're posting what you're posting. People will appreciate it. Consistency, regular posting. Many audiences expect daily posts. That can be a lot for some artists, and it might be more than what you have time for. But if you stick to the 10% rule of thumb in your studio practice, then definitely focus on social media and focus on one platform. Customer service. Take the time to like, comment. So this is something that we talk about a lot with people. You're not just posting into a void or posting to robots. These are actually real people out there. And so when somebody comments on something that you're doing, definitely take a moment to like that they've commented on your post and respond to them. A lot of the time, that'll help you actually build your network. Quality control. So
this is something that I know a lot about. You've got to self-check. That's something I struggle with. So, you want to do everything you can to make sure that your posts are polished and professional. And it's really challenging when folks will post a blurry image of an artwork, something that's upside down or sideways. It's just not very professional. So before you post something, make sure it's something that you as a consumer of social media would also be interested in seeing. And brevity, right? Attention spans, we all know that they're super short. And so, streamlining your message and your content is key. There are some exceptions to this, and, that plays back to authenticity and your voice as an artist. Right. The dreaded list of what followers don't like.
Yeah. So spamming. This includes sending posts that are unsolicited messages. So direct messages, anything like tagging somebody that's actually in a photo that's actually not there, just to get their attention. Followers don't like that, and a lot of the social media platforms are trying to prohibit activity like that. So stay away from that activity. Abusing hashtags. Too many hashtags can confuse or fatigue audiences. Use hashtags that are not relevant to your content is another form of spam. You don't want to just appear in a conversation online that has nothing to do with what you're posting about. People will get you off. too many emails. So once you get started with MailChimp and you're excited about communicating with your followers via email, take it easy. Make sure to have a plan. Be intentional with your email newsletters. That includes updates, announcements, reminders, all follow-ups, everything. Audiences are sensitive to inbox fatigue, so make sure that you are really intentional and care for them. All caps all the time. An emoji overload. It basically is yelling on the internet, and especially in a social media environment, you have to think about how mobile phones are personal objects. And so if someone is writing in all caps all the time on a post, it can be pretty jarring. It does catch attention, but if it's used unintentionally, it can be irritating. So have a purpose when you use these tools. And then the bait and switch. This happens a lot. We see this with political campaigns where email subject lines that don't align with what the actual email is about. So it's like it tries to draw you in with something exciting, and then you open the email and it's nothing that either had nothing to do with the subject of the content, very little. Yeah. So that's, if you want to maintain regular readership of your newsletters, stay away from the bait and switch. And then chicken little language. That's like the sky is falling. Everything is to the extreme. So relying on hyperbole and exclamation marks is like not a strategy we would recommend. Start out with a very general tone. It can be hard. The internet, because it's just text and photos and videos, can feel impersonal. And so artists who are passionate about their work want to instill that personality and that passion into their posting, but it doesn't actually come through. And what can be challenging is if you start out too high with too many exclamation points, it's hard to walk it back. So start out small, and if something is really exciting, like they're going to show our work at the MoMA, definitely use an exclamation. That's a big deal, yeah. All right. So
yeah, how do we make it all work? How do we show these recommendations in practice? And that's what we're going to move to next. We want to go through 3 case studies of 3 different artists, creative entrepreneurs that are using social media in exciting ways and really reaping the benefits of robust usage. So yeah, we're going to move on to our first case study. And it is Chrissy O'Shea. She runs a blog and Instagram called Cottage Farm. We went to graduate school with Chrissy. She's a friend, and she is really killing it on social media.
Yeah. She's a photographer and a stylist, and she's started to start a practice of cooking and recipe production, and has recently gotten sponsored by a couple companies that make veterinary products. But first and foremost, she did her MFA in photography, and that's how we got to know her. But she has grown a very large following on Instagram. So she uses a website, which is a blog format, and she posts about once every 10 to 14 days. But Instagram is her real value as far as digital marketing goes. She manages a following of about 45,000 people, and she's basically gathered those folks painstakingly over 5 years or so. She posts about 1 to 3 times a day, so it's very regular. And her work is oddly very similar to, there's actually a lot of gardening posts, so that metaphor plays right into the social media gardening. She does have a few followers on Twitter, about 500. She mirrors the Instagram posts to Twitter. And then she manages Facebook very little. So she does automatic posting from her blog. So there's a plugin that posts from her blog to Facebook. And she has much less of a following on Facebook because of that kind of robotic presence.
Yeah, and honestly, at this point in her career, her digital marketing plan, she doesn't need Facebook. So she has really focused her attention on Instagram, and we'll go through sort of what her goals are and how that works together.
Yeah, and for Chrissy's practice, her top goals are driving attention to her own website because she is her own brand creator. So she is her own stylist, getting people to be aware that she does design and produce events and markets media events and does weddings and other parties. She needs them to know how to get in touch with her. That's on her website. She needs them to know what other projects she's worked on and who her collaborators are and her sponsors. So the website is her main hub. Her other goal is to build her Instagram following because that's where really her audience is right now. And she wants to build that network and then also attract new creative partners and sponsors. So her workflow, she publishes a blog post once every 10 to 14 days. So that's not very often. And that blog post is pretty content rich. So there's several photographs. There's some great writing. Christy's a great writer. Or she'll post a recipe. Her website uses a plugin, as I said, that automatically creates a Facebook post, so she doesn't have to worry about that. If you want to learn how to do that, we suggest Googling a YouTube video on how to hook those accounts up. Just follow the steps. There are many videos out there that are helpful. So she adapts those individual posts from her blog post. So if, say, she uploads 4 photos, she then adapts each of those photos to be singular posts on Instagram that she publishes. So she gets out of one, weekly or bi-weekly post on her website, she gets a whole bunch of Instagram posts that she can then post on a daily basis. Her Instagram posts are authentic to her experience and her brand, so her voice is very consistent. They're beautifully composed. It reflects her photography, and then she's able to use hashtags in a considered and elegant way. So if she wants to join a conversation online about like bread making techniques, she'll find a hashtag where people are talking about that and implement that into her posts. She's also an incredible customer service person. She thanks people for their comments. She responds to their questions. In fact, like on many posts that we saw throughout the creation of this presentation, she's commenting and responding 5 to 10 times on a post to different people. Chrissy manages her largest following on Instagram with nearly 50,000 followers, and that is a really valuable marketing asset. And because of that following, there are different companies that are reaching out to her saying, can you try our product in your daily routine? Will you take pictures of it? Will you upload it to your Instagram? So that's another way to basically incorporate that kind of value into your art practice. She does use Twitter because she is a brand ambassador. So you'll see some examples coming up of how she gives a shout out to some of these sponsors and brands that are asking her to use their products. So we wanted to show what the workflow kind of looked like. So this is a sketch that we've kind of come up with. So her initial step is to make a website or a blog post. And so that's an upload with some writing and some photography. Then simultaneously, she's basically creating Instagram posts that are similar but unique on that platform so that she gets all that mileage from the initial work of creating and editing and designing all of that blog content. Things are mirrored to Facebook and Twitter, and so Instagram and her website are the main platforms that she's going to be spending time on. And this is what her platforms look like. So an example of a post, she created a recipe for chilled zucchini and yogurt soup, and one of the sponsors that recognized that she had some great following was Wolf Blenders, and so they reached out to her. They sent her a free blender and said, try it out, see if you like it, include pictures of our blender in your photography. And so here she is posting on her WordPress site an upload from, I think, July, and so also she's going over to Instagram, posting similar content, and also tagging Wolf Blenders and then hashtagging the conversations that she wants to be part of. And below of the Instagram is Twitter, and so she does something similar, but she's not able to use as many characters on Twitter. So Twitter has got a limitation of 140 characters. So she's able to basically convey what the content was on her blog post or her Instagram post, but distilling it down into what she actually needs, which is a link back to her website, which is where she wants to drive all of her audience members, and the tag to the sponsor.
And then to jump into Instagram just a little further. So you're unable to add links directly into your descriptions, photo descriptions. But what you can do on Instagram is add a link to your profile. So what if Chrissy has a new recipe, she'll add the link to her profile. And she'll update that link as often as she has new content coming to her blog.
Yeah. So the second case study is Kinship Goods. So Chrissy is an artist, and she's using her photography and her art to promote a brand and make that work for her. And down the road, Chrissy might release a book, and then she'll have an audience of 50,000 faithful Instagram followers to share that book with. So she's totally prepped and ready. We wanted to look at a case study of a different way to use the same tool, but basically take advantage of all the different platforms available. So we've got Kinship Goods. Some of you are familiar with them. They just moved to their new location in Elk City in Charleston. And they're a lifestyle brand, basically, and a boutique shop here for hand-printed T-shirts. So they manage their website with the platform Shopify. So they maintain an account with Shopify, and they basically run their entire website out of that platform. So it's really successful for them. They don't have to pay any sort of fees on Etsy or have a platform that is committed to another entity. They're their own thing. So they basically update their website with their new products. They manage an Instagram account with 12,000 followers, and they post about 3 times a week. They do have a Twitter account. It's a little less regular, posting about 1 to 3 times per week, and it's about 1,000 followers, which is an average following in West Virginia, because West Virginia doesn't have a whole lot of Twitter participation. On Facebook, they manage an account that has 6,000 followers, which is pretty good for a little shop in the area. Their goals are to drive their product sales. That is their number one goal, to sell their T-shirts, sell their products. Their secondary goals are to grow their brand and their network, and to promote events that they have at their shop where people can buy products. So they use their e-commerce site to sell their products. They keep the stock updated on their website, and then they drive all of the audience members from all the other activity that they're doing on social media and other platforms to their website. Basically, they want to improve their lifestyle brand, and so they do participate on all the other platforms. So they do have accounts with Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, but their website is their main hub. They encourage customers to share photos of themselves in their products. So this is kind of a reciprocal feedback loop. So they say, hey, please send us photos or hashtag us in a picture with you in our T-shirt, and then those customers then post on their profiles. Kinship can share those photos and or repost them. And so basically it's like free advertising for Kinship. And then they also promote their events at the brick and mortar shop where people can buy products. So this is basically a flow chart of how they work. So they need all of their audience to be driven towards their website, since sales is the number one goal. And so here's how a post example would work. So most recently, they released a shirt that went to Flood Relief, so the Come Hell or High Water T-shirt. So it's up on their website. They took a photo of the T-shirt, put it up on their website, made it available for sale, and then went to Instagram, uploaded it on Instagram and on Twitter in a couple different ways, and always provided a link back to their website. So if you're uploading something to a platform without linking to the main hub that you're trying to drive your audience towards, you're basically missing out on an opportunity. And here's an example of how customers are able to participate in their advertising. And what it does is it grows community, it grows networking, and it makes people feel like they're part of something. And that's really part of the Kinship brand and the Kinship artistry. So our case study number 3 is another fellow graduate from SFAI, Casey Gray. He is a celebrated painter. He uses spray paint, actually, out of San Francisco. That's him at the bottom there. And, yeah, so Casey's represented by a bunch of different galleries. So this is an example where Casey is not driving his own, he's not directing his own sales. He's got gallerists that have him under contract so that they can actually do the sales for him. So he's going to be using these tools in a different way, where Kinship is trying to, basically sell their own work out of their own shop. Casey's going to be trying to raise his profile as an artist and raise his status. So he does have a website that is primarily static. He uploads news and changes his CV as he gets into more shows and exhibitions. He does have an Instagram following of about 8,000 people. He posts on average 2 times a week, and it's not always about his art. He does have a Twitter following, but it automatically mirrors what his Instagram activity is. And primarily he does that because as an artist that's emerging in the Bay Area, he wants to make sure that if he is part of an exhibition that's being covered by, say, the New York Times or something, if a reporter at the New York Times were to tag him in a tweet, he would want to make sure that his handle is available. So he's got a Twitter account, but he doesn't need to maintain it. He just wants to make sure that it's out there. It keeps it alive, and that's about all the effort that he puts into it. Mm-hmm. And that's something, if you've got limited time, that's something you can set up. It's a good strategy. Yeah. And then Casey doesn't use Facebook at all for his art practice. It's just only personal use. So his main goals are to promote his art openings, his shows, upcoming exhibitions that he's part of, and basically build interest in his painting and his studio practice. So I went through that. His posts on Instagram are personal and professional, so they range from detail shots of his paintings to progress shots, finished work, day in the life studio stuff, openings that he's attending, vacations, his cats, and skateboarding culture in San Francisco. And you can really see how all of that stuff kind of comes together in his work. And that is something that followers really like to understand. As an artist, you're a creator, and you're creating out of something. You're creating something out of your life. And so when you bring in those inspirations, it can be exciting to people who follow your art practice to see those symbols pop up in your daily life and then emerge in your painting or emerge in your sculpture. And then Casey's gallerists maintain a profile on his behalf on something called artsy.net. We're not covering that today in our presentation, but you should totally check it out. You can't subscribe, you can't sign up for it like you can a Facebook account. Gallerists basically do that, but it is something, if you're looking for role models who are having an emerging artist experience and they're using social media in new creative ways, definitely check out artsy.net. So Casey's workflow is really simple. So this is where we promised you, no fuss digital marketing plans. So far, it hasn't really been no fuss, but Casey, his digital marketing plan is pretty low key. So he posts to Instagram that mirrors to Twitter, and then separately, when he's ready, some of those posts of his work will make it onto his website, but most of the time he waits for a piece to be finished to have it photographed professionally, and then he uploads those photos to his website. So he's really only doing, that 10% of your studio time. I think that Casey is probably, compared to the amount of work that he produces, spending about 2% of his studio time on self-promotion. But that's the advantage of having a gallerist represent you, is that they're out there working on your behalf. So here's the workflow example for Casey. This is a detail shot of one of his paintings, a bag of peaches, and so because he doesn't have a professional camera, he takes a detail shot, which looks nice on his iPhone. and uploads it to Instagram, gets excited about, or there's excitement that builds about the piece, and then when he's ready to show it, he has it professionally photographed. And you can, as you can see, his post is mirrored through Instagram. So when you click that link, it'll take you to his Instagram account, or mirrored to Twitter. So, okay. All right. Yeah. Okay.
So we've got about 10 minutes left, and we want to start talking about how to apply these techniques to your art practice. So directing attention and keeping it. It's all about making a plan and sticking to the plan.
Okay, so remember your strengths and weaknesses. Don't be somebody that you're not. Focus on a platform that plays to your strengths. Be honest about how much of a commitment you're willing to make to your digital marketing plan. It's better, in our opinion, to have a consistent activity on one platform than to have inconsistent posting on many platforms. Consider your top goals. Build value there, like Chrissy was able to build 50,000 followers. All the rest of the stuff is just distraction. So keep an eye on your goals. So once you have all of those thoughts organized, then build your hub. So select whether or not you're going to have a sales website, a Facebook page, an Instagram account, whatever one works best for you and plays to your strengths. Select that, and then make sure that all of your activity elsewhere is directing to that hub. And then create a calendar for sharing your content on your hub. Post that content to your hub first and then to the other platforms and redirect with links. So we're going to take you through a brief example of a calendar that you could have as an artist. So say you post to Instagram twice a week.
Yeah, and this calendar is about preparing right for a show. So in this hypothetical, we've got an exhibition on the 29th. And we have professional shots that have been taken care of on the 5th. So between the 5th and the 28th, we want to make sure that we're getting exposure. So we update our website right on the 6th, the day after we get our new photos. From there, we start a steady, consistent approach to posting to Instagram. That Instagram then, in my hypothetical world, would then mirror directly to Facebook. And I would do that at least twice a week. So I would schedule that time out within my studio time on Wednesday and Friday of every week, right? So Wednesday and Friday of the next week, the same thing. However, on that Thursday, I'm going to try to send an email out to announce the show. That way, everybody who's already interested in my work, those email addresses I've collected from previous shows, those folks are going to know that on the 28th, it would be great if they would show up at my new exhibition. So I would continue that technique through the month. Then I do a follow-up email on the 27th just to let folks know in a couple days this art show is going to happen. The day before the show, I might take to Twitter and reach out to certain VIPs that I really want to have at the show, perhaps different folks in the press if I want to have, a review of the show. That type of outreach I would do just the day before the show, at least on Twitter. Outside of the digital world, I would definitely be making phone calls and talking to connect with different folks in my network. But if I'm going to be on social media, if I'm going to be on Twitter, Twitter is designed for what is happening right now or what is just about to happen. So I would take to Twitter the day before. The art show would happen, and I'd make sure that I would take pictures, or somebody is designated to take photos of the opening, of all of the excitement of the night. Even maybe installation shots earlier in the day, right? Those are really exciting pieces of content that folks like to see, especially on Instagram. And then the very next day, I would make sure to do a recap. So I'm letting folks know that the show happened. I'm thanking people who were involved, and I'm doing that on Instagram and then mirroring that to Facebook.
Yeah. So this is the sample calendar, and we have created a bunch of work for you all to do now as artists and creative entrepreneurs. So time to get to work, but a couple takeaways. Remember that these platforms are full of real people. So it can feel like nobody's out there, you're tweeting to avoid, you're posting to avoid, but they're real people. So it's important to identify who you want to notice your work and keep those people in mind when you are posting. And take the time to be a reciprocal poster. So it's like if you want people to notice your work, notice other people's work and post on their new work and stuff. When in doubt, explore the internet for role models and mimic what they're doing to promote their work. And then also visit the Tamarack Foundation for the Arts website because they've got a bunch of resources on there, and join their creative network. It's a great tool. So that's the whole presentation. We encourage you to take the leap. This is the 101 course, but if you have any questions, we are available for however long. I know that our presentation took a little bit longer, but we are happy to field whatever questions you guys might have.
Yeah, let's take some time for Q&A. Thank you so much, Jen and Carling. Really appreciate all of this helpful information. And as I mentioned at the beginning, you can type in your questions into this chat box and then hit send. I just did a little sample post for you guys. I have a question to kick things off.
Sure.
One of the questions that I hear frequently from artists is about using shortcuts. So I'm thinking, for example, of some of your case studies where you had artists who were posting to one platform and it automatically posted to another platform. So when I say platform, I mean they're posting on Instagram and it's automatically posting to their Facebook the exact same thing. Or they're posting to their website and it's automatically going through and posting onto their Facebook account. When is it useful to use those kinds of shortcuts, and when and how could it potentially work against you?
That's a great question. And if you, as we mentioned in a lot of the case studies, there are artists that want a little bit less fuss in their digital marketing plan, so they are using these mirroring technologies. Something to think about and keep in mind when you're setting them up. If you're posting, they're different audiences, first of all, and the way that you want to post for them are different. So if you're posting to Twitter, because you only have 140 characters, you're more likely to post 5 or 6 messages at a time, or make 5 or 6 posts at a time. And if you mirror that to Facebook, so send all of your tweets automatically to Facebook, you've just made 5 Facebook posts in a row, and you might be filling other people's news feeds full of your stuff. And so that's a really quick way to irritate a Facebook following.
Right, and another thing to sort of think about, referring back to the case studies, is oftentimes when that mirror happens, the following on that secondary platform it is depleted, right? Like there's a sharp drop off. So if Chrissy from Cottage Farm is mirroring something from her WordPress to Facebook, she goes from a lot of traffic on her WordPress to very little traffic on her Facebook. She's just keeping it alive. So in a lot of ways, that mirroring can be life support, and it is a shortcut. But when it comes to like meaningful content, oftentimes you have to go that extra mile. You have to put in that little bit extra work to give somebody something fresh and something that's customized for that platform.
Yeah. That's why we recommend starting, if you're just starting out today, start with a platform like Instagram.
Yeah.
So what about the value of having a website versus just putting your work onto a social media platform? What about if someone, you say start out with Instagram, should someone start out with Instagram and not have a website to drive them back to? When is that okay? When is that not okay?
Yeah. So my first instinct is, my answer is yes. If you're an artist at the beginning of their career, if you are someone who is unfamiliar with technology, I would say get in and get comfortable, and get in where you feel most comfortable. The idea of building a website sometimes when you're at the very beginning can feel really daunting. What is the content? How do I write about myself as an artist? How do I describe the work? There are a lot of pieces in building a website, and that's why when you have that website and it's there, it's sort of like the pillar of your professional life online. And so so what you can do is, if you start out with Instagram, you can start to cultivate those pieces that ultimately can lead to the development of your website. If you're like a mid-career artist and you're a little unfamiliar with technology, I would recommend talking to somebody. You know, there are really great agencies out there. You know, my agency isn't one of those agencies. We don't do a lot of website development, but there are great agencies out there that can help you, and they really tailor themselves to working with artists to build those websites. So I think Instagram, of all the platforms, is just a really great way to get in and get comfortable and figure out what it is that people are responding to. A lot of times, you know, creators, you feel like we're making something in a void, and Instagram is a really great way to really jump into the conversations that are happening and get exposure.
Okay, great. We're going to take about maybe 5 more minutes for these questions. We had one question about Wix.com. Elaine, I encourage you to sign up for our next webinar happening on August 24th with Sean Dover of Mesh Design and Development. That is a WordPress step-by-step platform, and he can address that more directly. We have a question from Kim on Twitter. Can your target metropolitan areas can you target 2 metropolitan areas to draw tourists, or is it follower based only? Does that make sense to you guys?
Kim, I would suggest if you're looking to draw tourists to your profile on Twitter and your content that you're uploading on Twitter, find out if that area, that metropolitan area, has like a cultural hashtag that they're using to draw everyone together in the same conversation. I'm just trying to think. In West Virginia, it's like go to WV or something like that. So
maybe she's in the Panhandle. I mean, that's what.
Yeah, if you're up in the Panhandle, there might be some other like hashtags that communities are using. So do that research first, and then be posting that hashtag within all of your content, so that you're joining those conversations and people are seeing your work. That's how you would target tweets. But your tweets are only being broadcast to the feeds of people that follow you. So it's a little bit of both of the question that you asked.
Following you, and then if you are hashtagging, you're entering sort of a filing system of folks using that hashtag. But it's not a guarantee, and you would run the possibility of using a lot of time for something that perhaps wouldn't gain as much traction as you may hope to.
Yeah, and to actually address Brenda's question, which is any opinions on Facebook advertising and or pushing posts, Facebook, unlike Twitter, has spent the past 3 or 4 years developing a robust advertising platform, and you can target down to like the city, like just the regions of the city or a county or multiple counties. So you can say, okay, this whole metropolitan area, I want to target 30 to 50-year-olds with this singular
college education and this sort of earning bracket. I mean, you can really, really tailor it. And, it's something that we do for different organizations that we work for, and we see a lot of success with that kind of targeting. So if I were to target, I would target specifically through Facebook.
Yeah, and Twitter, I wouldn't spend a whole lot of time on Twitter as far as that goes. But definitely researching the hashtags that those regions are using is valuable research time spent.
Great. Let's talk just a little bit more about this question from Brenda, and then we will wrap up about Facebook advertising and pushing posts. What do you guys think about investing money into Facebook? Is it worth it? How much should people be investing? When should they choose to invest versus not choose to invest?
Those are a lot of really good questions. I would usually when I recommend investing, it's because you're building up to an event. So if you have a retrospective coming up at the Clay Center, and you want to make sure that everyone in your network and everyone who has the possibility of sort of being interested in the work you make, I would most certainly target people in the area where that museum is. You can also import a mailing list directly into Facebook, so you're making sure those folks are seeing your advertising. And then you can also do like a doppelganger list. So anyone who sort of likes those people and interested in those
on the email list.
Anyone like those folks, you can reach out to those people as well. So the ability to target an audience is really really amazing, and the key to successful Facebook advertising is becoming familiar with those tools, spending time in the back end and understanding what the terminology means, and then really identifying a core community that you want to reach and spending the money there. So what's great about that is that when you compare Facebook advertising dollars to, let's say, newspaper advertising dollars, you're getting such a better return on social media advertising because you are meeting people where they are. They're in their Facebook feed, and your advertising will show up in their Facebook feed. It can last for several days, and you can understand immediately if the ad isn't working. You can cancel it, tweak it, repost it, and then see if you're having more success with an updated ad. So you're really able to tailor the ability to reach folks. So we've had a lot of success using Facebook as an advertising tool, and it's something that takes some time. You have to get familiar with it. Some of the terminology isn't necessarily intuitive. So you got to take the time, and it's certainly a powerful tool.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Garling and Jen. We really appreciate your time today and you sharing your expertise with our community.
Oh, we're happy to do it. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thanks. Everyone who signed up is going to be getting a follow-up email from us. There will be a survey in the email asking for your thoughts on this presentation and future topics that you would like to hear about. And also, we will include some links to resources on this topic and a recording of the presentation today. So we're going to end this presentation, and thank you again to everyone. And we look forward to seeing you at future Speaker Series events.
Thank you.